you started this business without any money.
$1,000.
$1,000.
$1,000 in the bank account.
That means that anyone who's broke could have done what you did. Welcome to the Rolle With Steve Podcast. I'm Steve Rolle, and I know a thing or two about betting on yourself.
Hey, I'm Corey Brown. I'm the founder and CEO of Buffer Brand Marketing, serial entrepreneur at this point.
Doesn't matter how much money your parents had and where you grew up and what kind of car you drove, you get to determine your own future. So on this podcast, I interview people who bet on themselves and change their lives.
Find one way you can make money immediately. I was a great employee, but also a terrible one.
Dude, I was an awful employee. Do you think that starting broke is better than starting with a lot of money?
I always thought you had to have a lot more money to be in business. And I didn't know anybody who owned their own business growing up. So I didn't have a model that was like, hey, actually, you can just do this. Like, you don't even need permission.
Yeah. But a lot of people think that. They think they have to have a lot of money to get started on something. But why do they think that? Have we been taught that business needs money?
That, and I think people, it's money and it's permission. A lot of people look around for validation from the people they know and love, especially as you're growing up as a youth. You're looking for yourself, you're trying to find yourself as a person, trying to find your career, trying to start something new. And you start to ask questions. And if people around you don't understand it, what's our natural inclination? It's fear.
Yeah.
Right? When people don't understand a situation, they just be careful. You bring it in,
yeah.
Right? Don't spend that money. Don't take that risk. Don't move to that place. You don't know anybody there. And I think especially when you grow up in a poverty-driven community, it can be even more so that way. People who take risks are looked at as don't be like them.
Yeah.
Like they lost it all, right? And it's a hard cycle to break mentally.
Yeah. Well, I grew up very similarly. And I think back to this great saying people have of show me your 5 closest friends and I'll show you who you are. But I think about it a little bit differently and say, well, show me the environment you grew up in. Who are the people that were giving you advice and impacting your life at a very young age? Because if you grew up around really wealthy people and you're hanging out at country clubs and yacht clubs, the advice that they give you about the everyday problems you have is very different than when you grow up in the hood and they're giving you hood advice, poor advice, poverty advice.
Yeah.
And the things that they're scared of, they're projecting those fears onto you and showing you just how, hey, man, you're not going to make it to the upper class, but here's how you get to the lower middle class, okay?
Yeah.
Risk averse. Go to college, get a job, work that job, and that's it.
Yep.
That's the mentality. And then we get out of that and we're kind of holy shit, there's a whole different way to live a life.
Yeah.
But some people just are afraid to take that risk. And I think the environment plays to that. How much do you think it was your parents versus where they chose to raise you and the environment that you were in that pushed you into being risk averse or thinking that you needed a lot of cash to go and start a business?
Yeah, it was definitely more family dynamics, I would say, that held me back personally. Our community was a mixture. We were, definitely in the lower middle class. I would say, in terms of, I never went without in the grander schemes of things, but there are definitely times that we went hungry, and there's things we look back on now. We're like, oh, that's actually, as a parent, now I know that's not normal, but it was normal to us.
Yeah.
We didn't think twice of it. But it's hard when you don't have anyone in your circle, or even when you do have someone in your circle who's because that is the country club mentality, or the people who have started, even if they chime in. Well, if everyone that's a pillar in your life goes, oh yeah, but that's for them.
Yeah.
And the amount of times I heard, well, that's for that family, that's not for us. And then later in life, I learned that family started off in the same city we live in, same income level, same amount of kids, and he made a choice to start something new. But until you had that conversation, and what kid has that conversation with their friend's dad of where'd you grow up? How did you start this thing? How much money did you put into it? Did you grow up poor too?
Yes.
Nobody has that conversation. I want to have that conversation. So that's actually one of my goals in life, is to have that conversation and open that door for people so that they can know that that's actually, I grew up right where you grew up.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's important to note for a lot of people there's more poor people out there than we think about. Sometimes I feel like I was the isolated young kid who grew up in the really lower middle class or lower class, Section 8 housing. There's 55 million people on food stamps in this country.
Right.
55 million. And people living below the poverty line, there's a lot of us that are out there.
Yeah.
And
We're a pretty big cohort.
we're huge. Like it's most people's story is that they came up in some type of a hardship, but the financial hardship is just a lot of people. And so when you think about that, those kids in the trajectory from where they're at in the lower class to try to go up, they say you can only go up one tier. Well, I don't believe in that because it wasn't true for me and it wasn't true for you.
Not at all.
So I want to talk about today how you go from the lower class to the upper class. Now, first question I have for you, when you started a very successful business, how much money did you invest in that business to get it to where it is today?
$1,000.
$1,000.
$1,000 in the bank account. And simultaneously, we started two businesses. My wife, as a call out, also started a business. So we took $2,000 and we put 1,000 over here and 1,000 over there and kept what we had left to take care of the family and said, let's do this.
But most people think you need more than $1,000.
I thought I needed more than 1,000, even when I started it.
Yeah. What was going through your mind as you're planning on, okay, I got $1,000 to make this happen? Where were you planning on spending it? And what were you hoping the result would be?
Ooh, I was trying not to spend it in any fashion at all. I thought I had such a misconception of cash flow of that I needed to make money every moment of every day, and every day needed to be a positive cash flow. And so I very quickly realized that's not reality. You're going to spend some money. You're going to have some down months. You're going to lose. But yeah, I definitely was spending it mostly just on trying to get my name out there in any capacity. And I pretty much blew through that money like very quickly on some marketing that didn't work. And I was pretty fortunate to find a couple of things that did work that kind of set me down a cash positive path where I could not pay myself and just start to add to it and kind of build out.
So to be clear, you burned through the $1,000 before you made any money.
At least half of it was gone pretty quickly, just in getting some materials, getting some advertising out there before I really knew what I was even going to be. I was fortunate that I kind of was coming out of a role that I was doing all right at, and I kind of saw this coming. And also COVID had hit. So we got a little buffer with some of those stipend checks that people might remember.
Those were nice.
They helped out.
Yes. If you didn't burn yours on stock options like I did, okay.
So mine went right back into the business for a lot of these, and kind of padded that for a little bit as I figured out what I was going to do and who I was going to be.
But in theory, I mean, you had $500 left. So someone listening to this thinking, I've got $500, or I can get $500 on a credit card. I have $0 today.
Yeah.
Business ownership is not out of the question, but there's got to be a formula associated with that, because it can't be a business that you have to go raise money for, or something that requires you to spend a lot of money.
Yeah.
What enables you to go into a business with only $500 or $1,000 and get customer funded quick enough that you don't go way negative or have to raise cash?
Yeah, I think for someone who's actually like starting from scratch, looking at what type of business to start and how cash intensive that might be. And that might sound a little like, wow, I really don't even know where to start that conversation. It's pretty easy. Do you need to buy a ton of stock of something? $1,000 isn't going to do it, right? Yeah. You're not going to launch a major Amazon brand with $1,000, despite what anyone tells you. But for most people, what I see and what was true for us is finding a service-based business where your effort directly or somewhat on trend, your effort against the business can create positive cash outcomes that can start to materially change what you have in that bank account, so that you can move towards the potential of taking some of that money long-term and moving it into something that can either create additional wealth for you, or investing it into, you need stock down the road? Okay, now you've created some wealth. I knew I needed a wealth engine because I was starting from zero.
Yeah.
And that was something that my mentor taught me. He was like, you're not just going to walk out and get handed capital. You just don't have that background.
Yep.
So you need to do something that you can assert your value against and create consistent wealth over the next 2 to 3 years to kind of get to the next step where you'll have some opportunities and decisions to make.
Another quick pause. If you're hungry for more and you're enjoying this podcast, of course, I want you to like and subscribe. But I also want to invite you to go to steveroll.com. You can get a copy of my book, The Future You Choose. I wrote the book that I could have used when I was a high school student that didn't have direction, when I was starting my business and didn't know what to do next, how to expand my vision to be more than others expected of me, more than I expected of me. Let's get back to the show. Well, there's a misconception out there that people think if I have the right idea, I'll just go raise money for it. And like, everyone's got ideas. And I got into an Uber not even a month ago. And the guy was telling me this great idea he had. And I go, man, what are you doing? Like, what action steps are you taking on that? He's like, man, I got to find an investor first. I got to find someone to put some cash behind this so I can build the thing. I can start doing it. And I go, man, the odds of you getting funded for something like that with no experience and no track record are so low. Positioning somewhere where you can service, something that you can do for someone to get paid right away. I always say that there's two things a successful large business needs to have. If you want to have a business that goes from zero and become something of size, you've got to have knowledge and you've got to have capital. Like you have to know what to do. And it might be that service. And the first place to look for is, what are you doing your day job today? Like, what are you really good at?
Yeah.
Do you have a really good hobby that you enjoy, that you could add value to people? But a lot of times it's already there professionally. Hey, I'm a recruiter. Maybe the best business for me to start to raise cash is start my own recruiting company. That'd be a great place to start because I already know how to do it. I know what the flow is. I know how to make that happen. And then you need the capital. But the misconception is that the capital comes from outside investors, or that you have to have already saved the capital. You have to have 10, 100, $1 million saved up. But what about the capital being customer funded?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you did, right?
Yeah. I mean, that was the only real choice that I had. There was no going and trying to get funding for me in the position that I came from. So yeah, I agree with you. Like, you're not going to just magically get investors just because you have a really cool idea. That takes years to kind of create those relationships, maybe prove out some other businesses. Like, that could be your future down the road. I think service is really a great way to get yourself started. It is a proper jump start where you can self-fund. And by self-fund, I mean, use your customers to fund that and use your the values you already have. So like you said, look where you have skills already. Look where you have time and energy to use on something. It doesn't have to be something you're incredibly. Listen, how did I get those $1,000? I mean, I was already doing side stuff. I was selling apparel. I'll go do gardening for someone. I've seen people that do, they'll come vacuum out your car. Like, there is no wrong answer. If you can make $100 extra a week for 10 to 20 weeks, you can start a business.
Yeah.
Like, it's that simple. It doesn't have to be, it's got to be, everyone puts it's got to be $1 million business. No. If you can make an extra $100 a week, every week consistently this year, do that and use that money.
That's $5,000. How many hours would you have to drive Uber or DoorDash to make $100 a week?
I mean, not that much, right?
6 hours?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah. It's not that crazy to think if you put that in. Hey, I'm going to dedicate my Friday nights for the next, X amount of weeks. And I'm going to drive people from this, from here to the airport, here to the bar, and I'm going to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just commit to it.
It seems like it'd be simple enough. And sometimes it's easy for you and I to say that, hey, like $5,000 is holding you back from starting a business. Like, what the heck? Because it's like, the problem can't be that small and you not be able to, but there are people who are stuck in a mindset of, man, if I had 5,000, and I would drive DoorDash, but I have a kid, and I'm a single mom, or whatever their sob story is.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you had a sob story. I had a sob story. And yet somehow we figured it out. It was just a decision, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's not because we're better at, it's not because we have some special superpower, right? Like, we made a decision and we went after something and said, this is definitively what I'm going to do. And I do think that's one area in my life that I have a real strength for, that I'll say, like, when I say I'm going to do something, whether it's a marathon, build a business, build a family, I say something's going to happen, I'm going to do everything it takes to make that happen. And the moment that I flip that switch to being like, businesses are for them. They're for people who have money. The moment I switched that and said, no, it's for me, and I'm just going to make it happen no matter what, was the moment that I got super primal and was just like, okay, what do we got to do? And you just start to become solution oriented rather than sitting in your emotions or sitting in your excuses. and holding yourself back.
But too many people are sitting in their excuses. So what was the trigger for you to get to a point where you said, I'm the type of person that finishes what I start?
Yeah. So it definitely started with me with like, I had a mentor who was really great, who pushed me to go into Amazon consulting, who pushed me to start charging people more money for the knowledge that I had, pushed me to believe that I was worth what he believed I was worth. Like he saw something in me, and I give him all the credit in the world. I will shout his name to the mountaintops to the day I die. He has changed my entire life, my family's life, everything. But I didn't have it in myself, and I didn't have it in my circle. It was just someone that I actually pitched one of my failing ideas to 5 years prior, and we just stayed in touch. And over time, that other thing fizzled out. And we just stayed in touch. We met every once in a while, and he just put in the effort for me because he believed that I was going to do something.
Did you need someone to shake it out of you to like, wake up, Corey? Like you can go do this. Okay.
Yeah, 100%. I needed someone to say like, actually, no, you're great at something. Like, let me validate you. I needed the validation. And now I look back and I'm like, it's silly. We don't need that validation. But I think part of that is growing up without that validation.
Sure.
Really puts you in a mindset where you're like, I actually need approval for something. Let me tell you right now, you don't need approval to do anything in this life. You don't need your mom's approval. You don't need approval. You can just go do what you want to do.
You can just go do things.
Yeah.
It seems like such a bizarre thing to say. Like you're allowed to just go out and start something.
Yeah.
You know,
you can move to Seattle tomorrow and start being a driver.
Yes.
And just like start a new life. Like that's how it works.
Yeah.
And I think we convince ourselves all the reasons we can't, only to realize later, like once you get past that, you get over that mountaintop, you're like, actually, I should have started way earlier.
See, mentors work both ways. You can have someone that shakes you up, but you also had mentors back when you were younger who were saying, hey, don't take them. Are you kidding me? And we allow other people's thoughts to get into our mind. Someone projects their risk onto you. So you say, okay, I'm risk averse. This mentor of yours projects his boldness to say, look what you have. You don't realize it yet, but I see it. Go do it. And then that becomes part of your narrative and the push that you need. So some people out there just need somebody to go. Maybe they need to go wake somebody else up to show them what their potential is, to say, hey, like you can do more. I had someone in my life who saw me drop out of Bible college, go to community college back in DC. I had no plan, nothing going on. And he goes, man, what are you doing with your life, dude? And his son had just started doing civil engineering out of school in California. And like, it jarred me. Like, what am I doing in my life? Oh, I'm doing physical therapy. And he's like, man, don't waste your life. Like, you have good math scores, good science scores. Go do something hard. Challenge yourself.
Yeah.
Heck, join the military. 8 months later, I'm in ROTC at college for civil engineering, and that was my path. But somebody jarred that out of me. It wasn't going to happen on its own. And I'd like to say that I would have woken up. But what terrifies me is that I think maybe I wake up at 35, a wife and 2 kids. I'm stuck in a life I don't like. And now I'm looking back and being like, man, I had the opportunity, but now it's gone. It's behind me. Now I'm this old 35-year-old. I can't go make it happen now. Like, does that terrify you to think about what life could have been without this mentor?
It does. It does. And I consistently look back and sometimes I see people who are still in roles that were in roles when I kind of left and started this. And, everyone's got their own journey in life. There's no judgment, but I know that's not for me. When I look at that, I'm like, I get uncomfortable. I get physically uncomfortable because I'm someone who needs to build, needs to grow. And I was just in the wrong place. Like I was literally fighting with every business owner that I ever worked with. I was a great employee, but also a terrible one because I wasn't meant to be an employee. Yeah. Like I was always driving for wanting better for their business than they wanted for their own business because they didn't want to get uncomfortable. And it's like, try to be a subordinate to someone, but also their consultant when they're not asking for it.
Yeah. Dude, I was an awful employee, awful employee. And I wonder, there's a lot of bad employees out there who, if it's a Friday night and you're bar with a buddy and all you can talk about is how much your boss is an idiot. Yeah. It's like you could be doing his job
maybe
for yourself or find out you're just as bad at it as he is. So you're making a lot of sense as to why he was doing the things he was doing, I mean, it's just wild to think about How little is holding people back? But then let's get a little tactical here. So the $500, the $1,000, what advice would you give someone who is either going to borrow that money from a credit card or have saved up enough of that money to get started? What do they spend that $1,000 on to get them started in a business?
This is going to sound a little silly, but nothing.
Hmm.
Don't spend it right away. Don't find something to just throw money at. You don't need the hat. You don't need the business cards. You don't need a bunch of fancy logos and things. Find one way you can make money immediately. Something that you can do that you have. If I put in 5 hours, I get X amount of dollars. That is the number one thing that unlocked everything for me, was actually stopping the spending. Don't worry about ads. Don't worry about this. I found a platform that I could connect with Amazon sellers who needed help, and I could give them the information that I already had, and I would get paid very directly on a per job basis. So I would know I put in 5 hours, I make $500, let's say. So now I know where my next $500 is coming from every time that I do this, right? Then when you start to have that happen, you can look for that. Now, if you need to spend a little money to seed that, if you need to spend, like, some platforms change, right? Like you might need to sponsor yourself or like different things like that. But honestly, kind of looking in the freelance space, looking into different ways to enter the service where you can just create a relationship. So maybe it's going to shows. Maybe it's finding. I think personal relationships ultimately have become everything for my business.
Yeah.
So obviously, being in Buffalo, New York, like, I started this business to go beyond Buffalo. So the best way to do that is to like go to a show and just get started. But if you can find one way to make concrete money without having to really spend, that is, and that sounds kind of silly. Like, yeah, make money without
I don't
spending
think it sounds silly at all. I mean, but you're asserting here that you can make money in a business without having the website and the business cards and the t-shirts and the logos.
I am. And I say that from a perspective of someone who is like, when I launch something, I launch it with perfection, right? Like,
Yes.
I try to. Everything's curated. Everything's exactly how I want it. Like, right down. So, but if you can do all that stuff without spending money, that's the thing.
Yes.
Like, you can learn how to do it yourself, and then hand it off to someone later.
It's one thing when you have a few $1 million to put into something that you want to save face on day one. Like, this is our brand. This is the image. We're getting
Boom.
started.
Yeah,
Okay.
big launch.
At that point. But dude, I remember in 2014, I started a business, a recruiting company called Amara North. And the amount of time, I still have the images on my phone to this day. I sketched out the logo first. What should I have been doing? Selling my recruiting services, finding people, selling business. But instead, I was sketching out the logo. Make sure the website was right. Oh, because the validation. People are going to come to the website. I send them an email, and if they see something that's not there, it's such a lie that we tell ourselves. I set up the accounting software. I had no business, but I'd set up everything else in the infrastructure for the business. And I didn't realize, so you can actually do a service for someone, send them an invoice, and then figure out QuickBooks on the back end.
Yeah, you don't have to have that all sorted out right away. Yeah, that's that. And like, when you're saying that, all I'm thinking is like, yeah, the thing you should do is like define the services that you're able to reasonably give to someone, figure out what your pitch is, and go pitch 10 people.
That's the formula right there.
That's it.
Yes.
That's all you need to do. Because also, even if you go 0 for 10, you're going to sharpen your pitch. You're going to sharpen your services, because they're going to tell you no. And if you ask them, they're going to tell you why. Okay. So shift your services towards why they're telling you. It's the same thing when we do on Amazon. We get bad reviews, right?
Yeah.
We take those reviews and we say, okay, let's build products around that. Let's build features around that. Well, it's the same thing. You pitch 10 people and take their feedback. And if you're really lucky, you close one.
Yeah.
And then you take their feedback and you and that's where you build out the website. Hey, Bob, what do you need to know?
Yeah. I would encourage everyone to look at the job they're working today and just ask the question, is this complex enough that I couldn't figure out the other components of it? And companies do a really good job of segmenting to say, oh, you're the sales engineer. There's also a salesperson, there's a product manager, because they don't want you to have the full playbook. But there are a lot of businesses like the recruiting company that I worked at, that it was recruiting and it was sales. I was sales and I had the experience of doing recruiting before. So what was the thing holding me back that kept me from, instead of getting a 10% commission on what I sold,
Yeah,
I got all of it, and I had to just deal with the expenses on my own. But I think if people look at where they're at today and say, what is my skill set? How complex is this company? Could I figure out the other pieces of it if I had to? And by the way, it's 2026. ChatGPT and Claude are great friends to figure out the stuff that you don't know how to do. It's so much easier now.
You might be able to build out some employees nowadays.
Unbelievable how much easier it is now for like, okay, you don't have to have all the knowledge in the world, but man, if you've got a skill set and you can just go talk to people and try to sell that skill set and see what happens, that costs $0.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to have any money to start a business if it's service-based and it's a skill set that you have. And then for people that are like, well, I don't have a skill set. Like, oh my God, do you know how easy it is to like tool up in this day and age with something that would be valuable to businesses to use? And AI is the big one out there right now. Like, oh, go learn an AI tool, go learn some AI automation and help business owners to prepare for the future on that. There's so many avenues and there's so much opportunity that it pains me when I see people who are stuck. And I know you see those people too,
yes.
And they tell you about their problems and you're like, dude, you don't have problems. Like, am I right?
No, that's a conversation all the time. They'll be like, oh my God, oh, this and this and this and this. And this. I'm waiting for the problem. I'm hearing a bunch of reasons that you're not doing things, that you're not focused on the right things, whatever. I mean, listen, I've seen people now that I'm in a different space and having different conversations. There's a lot of people I know that sold the product. They didn't even have a bank account or a name for the company. They literally did that after they sold their first contract because people buy from people. So it's like, yeah, you could go. I mean, I wouldn't go that route. I probably set up an LLC and I get a little bit ahead. I'll set up LLCs and bank accounts and throw $100 in there. And then I build the businesses later.
Yeah.
As it comes to me, as I have time.
The beauty is knowing that you don't have to. You can. It's optional. And then the trap on the other side of it is how much time do first timers spend getting the website copy perfect and getting the logo? And they're like, oh, if I go to a trade show, I need to have business cards for it. And then I'll have some swag. I'll tell a few people about it, but it's not ready to launch just yet. Everything but selling. And I love Mark Cuban's quote, sales cures all.
Yep.
That's the only thing that matters. Like, have you sold anything yet? Okay. That's like 101 before you do anything else with the business. Let me ask you this, because you started when you were broke, effectively. You started with $1,000 in a business, but you didn't really use the $1,000 to go get your clients. So I'm going to say you started this business without any money. That means that anyone who's broke could have done what you did if they saw the opportunity at the same time and positioned accordingly for it. If they had the same skill set that you had from what you'd done in your day job. Do you think that starting broke is better than starting with a lot of money?
No.
Why not?
I'm going to say no. I think for your mindset, it can be helpful because you have a I cannot fail mindset and you can get really fierce. And I think that aspect is great. Starting with more money is better in the sense that you can fail and pivot and take more swings. That's something, and I think that goes back to that poverty conversation, right? Like the person who has no money, maybe you fail not as far down because there's not as far to fail. But also maybe you get fewer swings, you get fewer at bats. Someone who's got a lot more money can go, okay, yeah, this doesn't work and pivot. But it also can, on the counterpoint of that, it can make you a little softer and be like, oh, I'm actually not making money yet. I'm going to pivot too early. So it's definitely balancing that. But if you told me right now, hey, let's start a business together. I've got $0. I've got $1 million. I'm probably going to go to the one with $1 million and start that.
100%.
I want to, I know we're having that conversation, but like, yeah, if you can do it, yeah, that's great.
But I think you hit on a key topic there, the number of swings that you get. Because we look at failure very much as either this business works or I failed. But that's only if you set yourself up where when you fail, you go bankrupt and you can't do anything for 7 years. Like it doesn't have to be like that.
That's exactly
There's different levels of all in. There's your back against the wall and there's your back against the cliff, where real harm is done to you if it doesn't work out. And I like the rule of 100 when it comes to failure of, hey, I'm not going to allow myself to quit this thing until I've done 100 iterations of it. And then I'm allowed to quit. So it could be anything from, I'm going to start posting a reel a day on social media and I get 4 views on it. It's like, okay, well, I'll let you know how the 100th one does. If it still sucks, I'm allowed to quit that thing. But I can't quit early because people don't put enough volume of the time of effort in to see anything through. Oh yeah. But I get so stuck on that mindset of just like, no, like you have to have enough at bats to enable yourself to fail 7 times so that the 8th time you iterate, you get there. And that's where money can be helpful.
It can.
But you could also do 8 iterations without any money and knock door to door or make phone calls to people to try to sell your services and get there without that cash as well. And I think about the long-term ramifications of this, because the mindset of someone who's doing this, who's so hungry, they don't have any cash, versus you're comfortable. You've got $1 million to play with. Do you waste more money in the long run on things you didn't need?
Probably, yeah.
But a more comfortable environment.
You can't waste what you don't have, right?
That's
so
true.
yeah, I mean,
yes.
I would say comfortably, yeah, you probably will. You might spend a little more to outsource things. You definitely are going to make different decisions. That's I actually have, this is one of my secret tools of the trade. I've actually never said this on a podcast before. I actually have a playlist on my Spotify that is a bunch of mostly rap songs that helps me shift my mindset to being like more fierce. And it's all about like, they're all songs about people who are betting on themselves and going after being the boss and like focusing and when they bet on themselves that they get savage and they're like, I can do this. I will do this. And they always get it back. They always win. And I have a bunch, I curated that over the first year of Buffer Brand to be like, cause being a solopreneur, man, it is a mental roller coaster.
Yeah.
So there's days where you're like, I sold a contract, I am king of the world. And then no one talks to you for 60 days. And you're like, we are dead in the water.
Yes.
And you know what? The missus only wants to hear it so many times and there's no one else to talk to. And you got to put a brave face on and you got to just keep going after it. And I was like, man, so I created this whole playlist of just like, hey, there are other people out there going through this and they did it and I can do it. And I'm just going to be fierce. And I'm going to stick with it every single day. And yeah, it's something that to this day, when I'm having a down week or whatever, I'm like, all right, put that on.
That's
you
interesting
did this.
to me. So I want to peel the layer back on that. Because what I think I hear you saying is on the days I'm not motivated, I can borrow someone else's motivation.
100%. Yeah. I mean, fortitude is the number one thing you have to have in entrepreneurship, right? You have to be willing to suffer because you're not, like you said, pitch 10 people. If you pitch 10 people every day, you'll find some, there will go to the times where you go 100 in a row and everyone says you're the worst.
Yes. Yes.
And how do you get to a mental where you're like, hey, that actually doesn't define me. I'm just going to keep going. And I found for me on the mental health side, I was like, man, like really, like maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. And I'm like, no, I am. I just have to dial in and find the right audience.
I need the right rap song in my ear right now, and I'm as good as I want to be.
And then I'm jamming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a very interesting thought. I think, people that have not been in sales, that haven't started their own business, they'll never really understand what it's like to get off a good sales call. Yeah. Where it's just opportunity. I'm going to be a millionaire.
Oh
this
my
is
goodness.
unbelievable.
It is a drug like no other.
Yes. It can solve all your problems. You can come in and have no sales at all and just be grinding. And on a Thursday morning, somebody answers the phone and you have a good conversation and they commit to doing business with you. And it's a high that is just unbelievable. I want that for everyone listening to this. Like get into the ring and go and feel that. It comes with the lowest lows. Oh, just so you know,
it goes lower than you think. But what I will say too, to add on to that, is so true. And the other thing is, you said like, hey, I'm going to try this 100 times, or I'm going to show up, 100 days in a row, or all these different. It's like, I am still seeing this to this day. If you are consistent with solving your problems. So I have a thing on my board that says success is not linear. And I have a longer quote about it, but success is not linear. And I wrote that on my board 3 years ago, because even 3 years into my business, I was like, I don't know if I'm doing it. I don't know if I'm, and success truly is not linear. You have to show up. And what I'm seeing now is the compound success of consistency. I'm getting people now coming to me and saying, do I qualify to work with your business that didn't want to work with me 3 years ago? Yeah. That are coming back around. In the last 3 months, I have closed deals from 6 months ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Like it compounds too. So like the longer you're in a space, you start to see these things, that magic happens. And then you get that sweet dopamine hit, and that's that sales win. But you actually did all that work. That it's paying the guy who was banging his head on the desk 3 years ago, waiting for a sale that never came. And now all of a sudden they're just happening. Boom, boom, boom. And it's like, okay, this is how it works.
It's one thing that every salesperson understands. It's not just who I talk to today. It's all the people in the past.
It's
And like
when.
sitting in a similar role for long enough to let that start to play out where you get a repeat business is great in e-commerce,
Yeah.
but it also happens in services businesses too. And it may not be that repeat business if I bought from you before, but it's, yeah, I made the calls to that person 3 years ago. And now they saw my LinkedIn post and they reached out to me and said, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm having that problem. Can you help me out? I remember you. Now I've seen you all over the place." It's very validating, right?
It's very special. And I think the other thing is when you do really great, consistent work for your clientele, you have to let that marinate a little bit. Like if you work with someone for 6 months, they're not going to probably like immediately refer you a bunch of people. But over time, they will run into people. People will ask them, "How are you so successful on this platform? How are you so successful with this thing you're doing?" And they're going to say, "Actually, I owe it all to like this awesome person that I'm working with or this awesome team."
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, 2 years later, someone who might not even have been on your radar before just shows up and is like, "Please sell me on something." And when that starts to happen, it's just such a magical switch. And I think everyone can get to that point if you're consistent in what you're doing.
Please sell me. Okay, so it's 2026. There are people out there today who have the $500, they have $1,000, maybe they have $0. Is the opportunity still there for them to be as successful as you have been without having any cash?
I think they can be more successful.
Hmm.
Truly. I mean, there are so many tools out there. We were joking about the website, the logo, all of that. A lot of that stuff you can put up in a couple days now. Like even 6 years ago, that was a much heavier lift. So, I mean, I think in a world of AI, I think there's some interesting conversations to be talked about, in terms of like homogeny and like, how do you stick out and how do I differentiate when everything's so easy? Is anything easy? But I think people could be more successful because honestly, I had a very limited mindset. Even once I got over the hurdle of starting, I still was like pretty limited in my beliefs. And I think that I made some decisions along the way that were not made from an open mindset of like, hey, there's an unlimited amount of opportunities out there. Just keep going.
Yeah.
There were many decisions that I made to kind of save face for that day and feel like, and if I could go back, I would have pivoted in different directions and been a little more aggressive, knowing like I'm going to get it back. So I would say that people could definitely find other ways to supplement that income and really get into industries and break through in a way that's more meaningful.